We bring you all of this and more on World Business Watch.
ये लोकसभा देश के संविधान को अपनाने के 75वें वर्षों की भी साक्षी बनेगी। मुझे विश्वास है कि इस लोकसभा में जन कल्याण के फसलों का नवीन अध्याय लिखा जाएगा।
Hello and welcome to Inside South Asia with me, Bhairavi Singh. It's been an action-packed week in the subcontinent, especially here in India, that saw fireworks in Parliament on several issues with a combative opposition. Also on the show, India hopes its offer to Bangladesh on the Teesta water management will ensure Sheikh Hasina doesn't sway towards China. The project is critical in India's chicken neck region. And a glimmer of hope for Afghans after its team reaches the semi-finals of the T20 World Cup. But first, the headlines. And the Bangladesh Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina was in New Delhi earlier this week. The two sides discussed areas of convergence, but what stood out was New Delhi moving forward on the long-festering issue of the Teesta River water management, while looking to edge out the Chinese influence in the process. Hasina, however, kept her options open. She said Bangladesh would gauge proposals from both India and China to build a mega project on the Teesta River and accept the better option. India has reservations of Chinese involvement in a project close to the strategic Siliguri corridor. Here's more.
New Delhi looking to underscore that Dhaka lies at the confluence of its neighbourhood first policy, its Act East push and its Sagar and Indo-Pacific vision. India and Bangladesh signed 10 Memoranda of Understanding, from shoring up India-Bangladesh cooperation in digital and energy connectivity to peaceful management of borders and trade, and perhaps the biggest development of all, a commitment from India on the Teesta river and water sharing.
A joint technical committee to initiate discussions for renewal of Ganges Water Sharing Treaty of 96 has been formed. The technical discussions on this will soon begin. We will also be undertaking conservation and management of the Teesta River inside Bangladesh with suitable Indian assistance.
Sharing of the Teesta River waters has been an age-old thorn between the neighbours, going back to the 1970s and the creation of Bangladesh. The river starts from Teesta Khangse Glacier in North Sikkim, flows through Sikkim and West Bengal states in India before entering Bangladesh, where it joins the Brahmaputra River. Along its course, the river is key to agricultural irrigation, hydropower generation and the support of diverse ecosystems. The dispute with India on sharing of river waters is where China stepped in. Ever eager for influence in the region, Beijing assured $1 billion for a comprehensive management and restoration project to manage the river basin effectively. India saw red. Security concerns and geopolitical implications jumped out, and it was eager to grab the advantage again.
We are extremely concerned at the prospect of the Chinese moving in so close to the border and so close to the chicken's neck, which would, in the event of an attack by the Chinese, if it's successful, cut off the northeast from the rest of India. Under those circumstances, and especially because we have the right, as they call it under the international law, the upper riverine rights, we have ourselves generously provided water to Bangladesh through an arrangement, a treaty arrangement, which initially met with a lot of resistance and which needs to be now managed within Bangladesh in a manner in which they can use it for irrigation and ensure that it's used for the purposes for which India is making this water available.
India announcing a technical team for Dhaka comes days before Prime Minister Hasina heads to Beijing in July. Chinese overtures are strong enough too, given that sections within Bangladesh lean that way. New Delhi has, however, spelt out that it will not cede strategic space in the neighbourhood. Prime Minister Hasina has tough choices to make.
And while lots happening in South Asia, the Chinese top official made a trip to Nepal. Sri Lanka has finalized a debt deal. Let's take a look at what else is making news across South Asia.
China's Vice Minister for Foreign Affairs Sun Weidong concluded his 3-day trip to Kathmandu. In bilateral talks with Nepal's President Ramchandra Patil, Weidong stressed the need to broaden ties with Nepal, including setting up the Joint Commission at the level of foreign ministers. Weidong led the China delegation as he attended the 16th meeting of Nepal-China Diplomatic Consultation Mechanism.
Sri Lanka's government has finalized a long-delayed debt restructuring agreement for $5.8 billion with the Official Creditor Committee, or the OCC, in Paris. That was a key parameter of an IMF bailout. President Ranil Wickremesinghe thanked the committee that included France, India, Japan and China for their leadership, as well as OCC members for their support. The Sri Lankan President's office said the debt restructuring agreement will grant significant relief to the nation, allow the government to allocate funds to essential public services and secure concessional financing for its development needs. At the peak of the Lankan crisis, India assisted with $4 billion, helping it cope with a severe shortage of foreign exchange and essential supplies. With financial assurances from India and other creditors, the International Monetary Fund approved financing in March 2023. That helped Sri Lanka start its recovery process.
On the slopes of Mount Everest, climate change is thinning snow and ice, increasingly exposing the bodies of hundreds of mountaineers who died chasing their dream to reach the summit of the world's highest peak. 5 as yet unnamed frozen bodies were retrieved, including one that was just skeletal remains as part of Nepal's mountain cleanup campaign on Everest and adjoining peaks Lhotse and Nuptse. Rescuers took hours to chip away the ice with axes, with the team sometimes using boiling water to release its frozen grip. More than 300 people have perished on the mountain since expeditions started in the 1920s, 8 this season alone. Many bodies still remain in a death zone, some hidden by snow or swallowed down deep crevices.
And on to a consistent focus on climate change in South Asia and its impact. The Himalayan glaciers have been melting at a rapid pace in Jammu and Kashmir and Ladakh region in India. Studies show that glaciers in the region have dwindled by 25% in the last 6 decades, while 48% of them could vanish by the century's end, even with moderate climate change. This means more pressure due to dwindling resources, water availability and farming, eventually having a massive impact on livelihoods. Idris Lone has this story.
The Kolahoi Glacier in the Kashmir Valley, the biggest glacier in the region, has lost around 23% of its mass in the last few decades due to the rise in temperatures and below normal precipitation in the winters. The stated reasons: the scorching heat wave over North India, an increase in even normal temperatures over the years. Rising deforestation and air pollution add to the problem, and experts warn that an environmental disaster lurks.
It is a major concern. The melting of glaciers, if you look at Indian Himalayan glaciers, it's already under the adverse effect of climate change. We are seeing most of the Himalayan glaciers melting. They were because of the impact of the increase in the temperatures and the outcome of the climate change. If the current trend of climate change continues, 70% of glaciers will vanish by the end of this century.
Horticulture and agriculture are the major contributors to GDP of Jammu and Kashmir. And most of the valley's agricultural and horticultural land depends on the melting of snow on higher reaches, which fills up the streams and rivers. Data has revealed that Kashmir Valley has lost over 30,000 hectares of agricultural land in 10 years.
It may not impact in a one particular year or impact with a blow. Like this year there is water enough and the next year there won't be any water left. No, it won't happen like that. It will happen slowly until we won't notice it. Or if we talk about the past 5 years, the winter precipitation has been below normal. So we can estimate from it our glaciers are reducing already. We aren't seeing the normal precipitation in winter season.
The erratic melting of these glaciers in the higher reaches will also impact the power generation in these areas. Experts believe the water scarcity in the region could have an adverse impact on hydroelectric power projects. Power projects in Jammu and Kashmir are also a big source of electricity for the whole of North India.
The rise in the temperatures across the globe leading to the global warming is having an adverse impact on the glaciers of Jammu and Kashmir. And with the pace these glaciers are melting, experts believe that by the end of this century, 70% of these glaciers would completely vanish. With video journalist Feroz Idris Sloan for WION World is One.
Well, let's shift focus now to documentary film Dreaming of the Moon that showcases the collaboration between young students from China and Pakistan who came together for a special national satellite project. So what is China's Chang'e 6 mission all about? Find out more.
I think it all started from my childhood. How can we explore the moon and how can we get through the surface of the moon?
It's the first step for Pakistan in deep space mission.
Dreams of deep space. Ambitions around reaching for the moon and studying space lift off. This is the story of a special China-Pakistan collaboration project. Documentary film Dreaming of the Moon details that adventure. Chinese and Pakistani students come together for a very special mission. China's Chang'e 6 lunar probe, launched on the 3rd of May, set out to capture images and collect data on the other side of the moon. The first of its kind joint lunar exploration project between China and Pakistan marks the coming together of Pakistan's Institute of Space Technology and China's Shanghai Jiaotong University. The IceCube Q that put it into orbit is the first ever nanosatellite to travel into deep space. And it set a precedent for future missions.
Two countries collaborate with each other.
We are gazing at the stars with our feet firmly planted on the ground. When the bright moon hangs high in the night sky, you will know it's there, watching, and we are watching it too.
If the satellite is successful, we will be the first to receive its first signal from a distance of 380,000 kilometers.
India's Chandrayaan-3 success last year catapulted it to the league of the US, Russia and China in moon and space exploration. In the Chang'e 6 launch in China, Pakistan sees a potential launchpad for its own space dreams.
Now, Afghanistan may have lost their semi-finals in the T20 World Cup, but what an incredible journey it has been for the country. And it's not just cricket fans who have been blown away. It's a rare moment of celebration for a nation ravaged by war and violence and mostly bad news over the last 40 years.
Afghanistan have done it! They've done it!
Tears of joy.
Oh wow! Afghanistan have done it!
And the realization of a dream against huge odds.